Hello, people of the world watching internet videos that have to do with cars. Welcome to this, my 1974 Toyota Celica ST with a Toyota V8 under the hood. If you're new and you missed out in the last video where I started to realize I overcomplicated something that should be really simple, up above my head is a link to my demise. In the previous video, I was in the process of finishing up my custom induction box for this thing. Beep, 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 beep. You notice this thing is a little bit splotchy looking? I need to take care of that. 500 grit. Probably use a sanding block, but I don't even know if this is gonna work, so. Ironically, this is the exact same process I did to my fan shroud, so that way it'll match. And also, it just kind of looks of the era inside this engine bay with this raw aluminum finish. In the last video, I couldn't finish this task because I can't keep track of where I put tools sometimes because I'm dumb. That is an M5. This is gonna be really tricky because this aluminum is so thin, it's gonna wanna warp as I put this nutsert in there.
It's coming straight at us, but I can't tell what it is.
Speaking of things disappearing, in the previous video, some of you may have noticed that the penguin teleported and never returned after. And it still is missing. I don't know where it is or when it is, but maybe it'll return again. For obvious reasons, I don't want to have nuts on the back side of this because there'd be no way to be able to take the lids on and off because you're gonna have one on either side. And now it's raining out. I want a nice tight seal against the filter so that way no dirt and stuff can get past. Make sure this is clean. It's just a hair too wide. The razor blade on the side of this metal is like nails on a chalkboard. But I don't want to be able to see this when I have the lid on squishing the filter. Air filter goes in. I drilled these holes just barely bigger than the shank, so. I didn't like how this fit, so I ended up swapping it out for a slightly taller foam to make it tighter. I gotta really compress that foam down onto the filter. I guess that's good though. I want a nice tight seal. I love that this actually looks like it could have came out in the 70s. Like just the style and the look of it looks like it could be from that far back. Man, it literally looks like I just bought it for this car. That came out I'm so happy with how that looks. And it's like the perfect height and everything. Look at that. Airbox. Intakes next. So yesterday, I may or may not have dropped the steering column, pulled the entire gauge cluster, and removed the center console because I'm an idiot and forgot for the fact that Toyota uses a switched ground for the high and low beams, and I have LED headlights now, which that does not work, obviously, and I couldn't figure out why my headlights weren't working. Because I'm dumb. So before I lose my mind any further chasing electrical problems that don't actually exist, one of the biggest hurdles I've had to overcome with this entire Resto Mod series is because I'm filming everything I'm doing. Jeez. It makes it challenging to try to fit certain tasks into each video. Oh, jeez. So stuff like this ends up getting left behind and I end up having to do it later. I'm gonna use the whole battery up before this stuff melts. Fire! I hate doing this with fire. It's like not the right way to do it, but my heat gun is like not doing anything to this. This is insanely thick heat shrink. Fire! The whole cable's getting hot. That stuff is there's so much glue inside it. My cable's super flexible now, sweet. I got a little starfish washer on there. Got enough room in there for it to flex directly to the chassis, directly to the block. In the last video, I mentioned the front anti-sway bar needs to be spaced the same as the subframe since it's from a Hashiroku. And this is a 25 by 50 millimeter block of aluminum. Or as we call it here in America, it's a 1 by 2 inch block of aluminum. But in order for this to be possible, I had to invite the assistance of an engineer fabricobbler.
So as the suspension compresses, the sway bar is going to try to, because the pivot's back here, it's going to try to move like this. So this front edge of it is going to come down as the suspension compresses. We want this front edge of the sway bar almost touching the oil pan. So I'm just going to stick a little cardboard spacer shim in here and hold it up against it tight. And then we need to measure this gap right here in between the sway bar bushing and the car. And that's the size of the spacer we need.
So that block of aluminum I bought was kind of pointless then?
Stick it under my mill and it'll get used.
Welp. Guess that's what happens when you don't consult an engineer first.
10 millimeters to satisfy your metric fetish.
What are you mocking me because I measure in metric?
width, how wide the strip of aluminum.
Oh.
Yeah, it needs to be 1.5 inches wide.
What is 1.5 inches wide in metric?
I don't know, but in America they sell aluminum stock in SAE nominal thicknesses of 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches, so it'll be 1.5 inches.
This has to go. This is the steering shaft that is supposed to adapt to my A86 steering rack, and for whatever reason, there was a malfunction in the way that it was machined, whereas this hole is like a millimeter off from where it should be, which meant that I could not slide a bolt in here past the threaded body on the steering rack. Yeah, you can absolutely see the difference. I don't even need to measure that. This hole is slightly larger and it's a little bit further that way. This one is smaller and it's a little bit further inward. Well, this one's got an extra barnacle that the other one didn't. Hopefully that clears my header. So you can see right here, there's a little notch in the shaft that comes out of the steering rack. That's where the bolt has to lock this on. It's threaded up above it too. And I couldn't get a bolt all the way through on the other one, like it was machined wrong. And hell yeah, this one's machined correctly. I can get the bolt all the way through and it threads. Yep, that works. A silver Sharpie, I think, is the greatest invention humans ever invented. Magic. The steering shaft has to be cut down to size because it's partially universal. The lower half is fit specifically for an A86 steering rack, so it's a genuine Toyota part, but the upper half is modified so it can be adapted to multiple manual steering rack Toyota vehicles. I put a little bit of cold galvanizing spray on the bare metal just so it doesn't corrode, but I can't put paint in there because then it won't slide into the collar. The following day, it's time to make some more progress. There's a jet flying above me. Sounds like an F-35 actually. Yee. Can't have this flopping around like that. And this bag right here is a freshly re-zinked OEM antenna bracket. The question is, what did I do with the rubber doodad that goes to the top of it? Hey, there's a CB antenna. No, maybe. So much time spent looking for parts. So much time. Maybe that little thing is not over here, then I'm screwed. I found them. Celica antenna plus fender. Windshield wipers Celica. The downside is though, the rubber seals are all cracked and deteriorating, and it's missing the one that goes between the metal ring and the painted part of the fender. I'm not gonna put that back on and destroy my new paint. All of my front ground wires are white with a black stripe, so to make this correct, I have to duplicate. Yep. So right there. Where the hell's the end of this solder? In addition to the 4 primary ground cables I added for the engine assembly itself, there are some additional grounds I'm including for the wiring along the core support that is not associated with the engine. Green and orange, green and yellow. These are the exact same style plugs that Toyota used from the factory for these lights. That way this matches the rest of the wiring throughout the chassis of the car. I don't want this to be a mess of wires, so one final wrap for everything. Wires look like they went through this hole. Now, my big ground is gonna connect to this ground. By using the exact same base color for the wiring and adding a colored stripe with a paint marker, it'll make troubleshooting any electrical issues on the nose of this car as easy as using the factory Toyota schematic despite all of this wiring up front being brand new. That might actually work. Yep. Inside this package are brand new pigtails. And this is a freshly re-zinked backing plate for the marker light. The old spring and little cup thingy were all corroded. So you notice how it's nice and springy and it's not binding? The old one is all rusty. Honestly, nothing here down needs to be cut or buffed. The paint is like flawless. The orange peel is less than factory, so I'm gonna call that good. Luckily, this side is a green with black stripe, which is literally Sharpie. You would think wiring up some marker lights is just like a 5-minute job, but this is actually taking me about 4 hours. This is so time consuming. Especially when the wiring goes through the wheel well and there's not an inner fender liner that covers this. So I want it done correctly so I don't have any weird issues when you drive in the rain. This is why I would never want to own a hot rod shop, because everyone wants a $500,000 car built for 20 grand in 3 weeks.
Maybe a little bit of a gross exaggeration, but you get the point. And that's why I always encourage people, if you want an older project car, it's way more fun and satisfying to just build the thing yourself rather than pay someone else to do it. Even if you don't know how to work on cars, picking older cars like this has a massive advantage because it's a lot simpler.
Ouch, it was really warm. This bouquet of wires is not how you propose to a robot you're in love with, but rather it is a cue to say something stupid on a YouTube video to make the internet realize how much of an idiot you are. And parking lights. Yeah, I got parking lights. All right, reverse lights test. Hell yeah. Got reverse lights, those are bright. Hazards? Yep, those are working. That side still doesn't work on that corner. More of this needs to disappear this video. I can't just stay on one problem. This is a line item on the board, and it's a 5-minute job. Famous last words. Hope I can take this drive shaft off with the exhaust in here. That was almost my head.
There was actually a reason why I left this off when I put the drive shaft back in, but I forgot.
Yep, easy. This cover goes over the end right here.
Luckily, it's a fairly obvious problem that I have to learn
It
twice.
was a job that had to get done. Simple, but important. Is that clear? It'll self-clearance a little bit. Oh, face go in your hole. It's that tight of clearance. 5-minute job, I said. Nothing I have left on this car is easy. Not a single thing.
A bigger drive shaft with beefier U-joints means this doesn't fit.
Probably not the best tool for the job, but it's all I got. That doesn't work either. That actually worked pretty good. That's actually not too bad. I'm proud of myself. I didn't think I could do that. Give a little spritz of the good stuff here. If my Robo Bubble business takes off enough, eventually I'll be able to add some more products to it, like this stuff right here, which I'll place a link in the video description below. In other words, this video is self-sponsored by me and some robots. I think that clear. Oh yeah, that clears. That clears nicely. That's done. I guess instead of check mark, just erase it. Ops check first, routing second. So that ties into that. This powers up this. That will power this headlight over here. This will be a ground over here. All right, it's loosely just in place. This should give me headlights. Yep, that's it. And now they work. High beams. Simple as that.
Hold this wiring harness in place with my OEM period correct wire harness ties.
This one I thought I had everything shoved up underneath the dash. I completely forgot about these two. Just like the driver's side, passenger side's equally as tight. That's, oh man. This is so incredibly close. Wait a minute. My O2 sensor is way back there. That ain't gonna reach. So I got two options. Either lengthen all these cords for the O2 circuit, or I drill a hole in the floor. I'm not like, I don't like that idea. Yellow, red, gray, black. Here's all the colors. Black, gray, yellow, red, white. My wiring's a little bit larger gauge, but that's okay. I'm making it longer, so it kind of helps. What the hell? Why don't you strip? Do I gotta throw dollars at you? Do your job.
The vast majority of the wiring I did on this car, I utilized one continuous strand of wire and replaced pins and plugs at the end rather than break them in the middle. But in this instance, I had no choice, so the best connection method is for me to use solder and heat shrink, so it's like it never happened.
I mean, at least all the colors are exactly the same. Happy about that. And I have some of this heat sleeve left over that I used on my reverse light switch. It's perfect. This gets stuffed up under the dash. How the hell am I gonna get that through there? You must be smarter than the object in which you are working with. That's the key. Yeah, I think that grommet is in there. Yep, it is. And that right there is how you do it. That's how you do it clean. Oh, I love this. It's getting routed in the spot in which it would from the factory, right here. I don't know which heat jacket is better, the one that came with the O2 or the one I bought. I think the one I bought is nicer, to be honest with you. Don't cut the wires. There. Join these. Oh, the lift's making creaky noises. I don't like that.
I don't know which was more of a challenge.
Ouch, that was on my arm.
Soldering these wires upside down with all the blood running out of my hands,
This is really hard to do.
or trying to film this and make it somehow interesting for you to watch. And for those of you that are still here at this point, you're amazing. And this project would not be possible if it wasn't for viewers like you. I think that's a PBS quote, I'm pretty sure. Public Sarah Broadcasting. That's PSB.
Progress is progress. I can't stress enough how time consuming all these little tasks I have left is. And I'm not even filming a lot of the stuff I'm doing just because it's like hard to even make into a video. I gotta keep chopping away at this stuff. So that way this car will be drivable. I know you guys just want it done like that. Well, most of you that subscribe to this channel, you get it, that real quality project cars take a long time to build. But the next video you see on this, I have all the parts I need now to finish the intake pipe to the airbox, and I should be able to get the nose of the car on. I don't see why I can't now. Like, I am so close now, so close. I mean, this is just minor stuff, and then I'll be able to start the car. With that said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you soon with another video. Bye.